So we all had that show that we were just obsessed with as a kid. And for me, it was Winx Club. So when I found out they'd be doing like a live action version of Winx, a slightly revamped, modernized version for an older audience, I was really excited. I know this show's gotten a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, but there were things that I did like about it, and I'm trying to be balanced because I know when I was watching it, there were a lot of things I liked and I enjoyed. I was having a lot of fun. So it was entertaining, but there were issues with it. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell for all notifications so you never miss another video from me, and let's get into it. The original cartoon was about a girl called Bloom who goes to this school to learn how to be a fairy, to do magic, and she meets boys who go to a school called Red Fountain or something, and they do like fighting, and she needs to learn how to master her powers. At least that's what I remember from watching it. It's been like a good 7 years. And yes, they had relationships, but really it was about the girls' connections with each other. And I remember as a kid just loving that because I was really struggling to find stuff that replicated it in a similar way. In terms of the reboot, the first thing I want to talk about is how it was just a bit disappointing because they introduced a love triangle, which made it, again, just like every other show I've watched, especially after seeing stuff like Twilight and the Vampire Diaries, I'm so done. And I was worried it would be like one big catty fight between the girls fighting over a guy. Bloom wasn't too involved in the drama, and I really appreciated that in terms of the writers. She was like, whatever, I'm not here for this. They actively, like the writers or whoever it was that made that decision, they went out of their way to introduce this love triangle, because in the original cartoon, Stella had a boyfriend and he wasn't even a part of this show. I know they want drama, and I know they need character development, and they want stuff to be spicy and relatable, but a love triangle is the most cliche thing you could possibly think of. Also, the girls are often in pairs. They don't have a lot of group scenes where it's like sleepovers and late night chats lying in bed. I really wanted that. I wanted them to be just lying in their dorm, chatting and eating popcorn and bonding and just opening up to each other, and I felt like it really lacked that. And there were so many things I did genuinely enjoy about this show, but that for me was disappointing because I felt it missing. Also, for a while, Stella was being really freaking mean to Bloom and the other people, which again took away from that lovely group dynamic you originally had. And also, Musa and Terra had this weird dynamic, and originally, at first, I thought it was a really fascinating dynamic, but after a while, I was just done with it. Even the group dynamics between the guys was lacking, and no one really talks about that. And it was missing because in this, I had absolutely no idea, no clue why Sky was friends with Riven, especially because Brandon as a character no longer existed. It was just Sky talking to Riven, and that made Sky look like a douchebag because he was associating himself with douchebags. And I don't remember whether he was friends with Riven in the original or not, but it didn't really matter to me because this is their opportunity to redo the show, include the good stuff, and make it even better and fix stuff that was bad before. So it just annoyed me that Sky was spending so much time with Riven because I was so unclear as to whether I was supposed to like Riven or not, because sometimes he'd say stuff that was really insightful, like, you shouldn't be with Stella, Sky. Then at other points, awful and derogatory and inappropriate and almost unrealistically so. Like, I couldn't imagine someone talking the way he talked. It was like the writers were trying to imagine what a really gross teenager would talk like. And again, because of this weirdness between the girls, it left me wondering, why are you guys beginning to like each other towards the end? What caused this shift? What made you see a different side of each other? Why are you hugging each other suddenly? How did this happen? I just missed that whole transition. And in terms of how the writers depicted teenagers, I know this sounds really nitpicky, but I'm just saying I'm a little bit sick of teenagers doing drugs and getting drunk at parties, because it's not really a realistic depiction of what every teenager's doing. It just feels very stereotyped. And even so, even if it is realistic, I just think it would be nice to see a TV show where characters aren't doing that for once. That's the thing with this show. We all have so many different viewpoints on it. This is just my opinion. And you know, I'm still gonna watch the next season. I'm still curious to see what happens next. It was captivating, that's for sure. In terms of dating, obviously, it was still better than the cartoon, because in the cartoon, it was very cheesy, very cringe, proclamations of love over absolutely nothing. People fell in love and they didn't even really know each other, so it didn't make any sense. So in this, it was obviously a bit more mature and developed. I really wanted to like Bloom and Sky because I remember being obsessed with them when I was a child. Like, I loved them. So my expectations were really high. And I don't know why, but I just didn't feel it. It was disappointing me because I was trying to make myself feel something and I was going, oh my God, this is cute, right? And it had a few sweet moments, definitely, and some scenes I liked, some interactions I liked, but overall, when they kissed, I didn't really feel anything. Drier than like crackers that have been left in the cupboard, you know, when they go all just meh and they don't taste good anymore. That's kind of how it was. Like, it had the potential to be amazing, but it wasn't. Infiltrating into their dating life was Stella. She was a mess in this. She was so mean, almost like a cartoon, and she was being awful to them, bullying them, and people were just sort of dealing with it, rolling with it, which I thought was awful, and they just weren't having a strong enough reaction. And because she wanted to date Sky and she was jealous that Sky was interested in Bloom, she was really trying to get Sky to come back to her. She was pulling out all the stops, and we all know Stella and Sky aren't going to get together anyway, so it just felt pointless. Why is everything about a boy? Why is everything about competing for a boy, trying to get a boy back when you know he's no good for you? Why? That wasn't in the original cartoon. She treated Sky like a dog. It was so weird. She was just pulling him around with her. It made him look like such a weak love interest, and I was watching this with my dad and we were just so unimpressed. Sky just seemed like such a loser, and any respect I had for him at the beginning, thinking I quite liked him, evaporated. And the only time I did actually start to like him was when he said, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's over, Stella. I mean, this may shock you, but I don't find it very attractive when someone says they're a fixer to avoid how broken they are. That's not cute. Well, I don't really want to date someone broken. It felt very forced whenever they mentioned like feminism, equality, women's rights, and very cringy. And I remember the scene where Bloom and Sky met for the first time. He was explaining something to her. She tells him to stop mansplaining. I like the idea of her telling someone to not mansplain, but that was not the right context to say that to him, because he actually wasn't, and it just made her look a bit strange. Like, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen in a TV show. It wasn't horrendous, but it was just a bit awkward. The original core of the Winx Club cartoon was that their fashion was amazing and the girls looked incredible. It wasn't just like they wore normal everyday stuff. They were trend setting and they were doing stuff no one had seen before. It was so good, even though it was a cartoon. But in this reboot, it felt like their aesthetic was very Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Charmed, Riverdale, every teen show you could possibly imagine, dark, gothic. Their clothes were very, very boring. Leather jacket, jeans, especially Terra. It's like she was the stereotype of a plus size girl who can't look good, in the sense that she can't wear any nice clothes. She can't make an effort with her appearance. She can't feel good in her body. Wearing the most disgusting clothes I've seen in a long time. Shows like Pretty Little Liars, Charmed, Paradise Hills, Euphoria. The clothes were so stunning. The aesthetic was so stunning and unusual. That's what was lacking in this show. I actually took some notes here for what they would wear in the original so I could compare, but Stella in the original, her outfit consists of a bright green halter top, a really beautiful headband. She'd do headbands a lot. Mini skirts, wedges, skirts with zigzags cut into them, or like an asymmetrical skirt, and huge earrings and a little crisscross top. And in terms of Bloom, she had like these flared jeans with a star print on them and crop tops. And I remember she had an amazing outfit for a dance, which was like a two-piece with these crisscross sleeves and like a trailing ribbon effect. Lots of baby blue, oversized sweaters. Now, in terms of their personalities, I get the idea of making Bloom a little bit rash, hot-headed, maybe a little selfish. For me, it just went a bit too far and she was a bit too rash. I kept trying to justify her actions throughout watching the show, like, oh, well, to be fair, she's a teenager and teenagers are a little bit more impulsive, so it's realistic. And then upon reflection, I realized, why am I justifying her behavior? It's because I was trying so hard to just like everything about the show, because my expectations were kind of high, I guess, and I just wanted them to do a good job. She could have waited to gather that information. She was told that by the headmistress, you know, we'll discuss this later, I'll tell you everything. And Bloom couldn't wait like 12 hours. She was so impatient that she went and had this plan, which could have gone terribly wrong, to release Beatrix from her prison. And then she went to talk to that old woman, Rosalind or whatever her name was, while she was trapped for good reason, because apparently she was such a danger to society. Might have been potentially a master manipulator, a killer. Takes such a huge risk by going down there to see Rosalind, then rescues her. And she just walked down there and Rosalind was basically like, master your power, channel that anger, get me out of here. But Stella was the worst by far, 100%. So she put Bloom in danger by giving her that ring so that Bloom could go and see her parents or whatever. I don't think she told Bloom, hey, you're going to be in serious danger. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Bloom almost did get killed. Luckily, she didn't. Luckily, her blood wasn't on Stella's hands. It kind of annoyed me, the lack of staff, the lack of teachers. It was so obvious that I remember consciously thinking to myself while watching it, why are there only 3 teachers in this entire school? Or like 4 teachers? Where is everyone? We need to protect the school from the burned ones. There's a war coming. And there's like 4 of them in the office. I like the twists and turns. I like that they had phones and it was a bit more modernized. I like that the girls could fight or do magic and the boys could fight or do magic, and it wasn't too categorized. But one of the original things that actually genuinely made me not want to watch the show at all in the first place was the whitewashing. And so many people have talked about this. They should be respecting and following the original cartoon. Flora, who was originally Latina, who was it? Who was she inspired by? Jennifer Lopez, I think. They changed her in this live action reboot into being a white girl. It's a white girl because it's Terra. She's a new character and she has the exact same personality of Flora and the exact same magical gifts, but she's the cousin of Flora. What? So maybe they'll try and cover up their colossal mistake, bring in like a token Flora in season 2 and say, look, see, we're being inclusive and she's the right ethnicity and blah, blah, blah. But I just found that so disgusting. In the original cartoon, it was very clear that Musa was not white and that she was coded to be like Asian, East Asian. They didn't stay true to that in this reboot. It almost makes it worse because they were changing something that at its core was not like that. Oh, God damn it. I'm gonna actually get upset. It just is so wrong on so many levels. There's no excuse. Yeah, that was my review and my overall thoughts. I really hope you enjoyed this video. For my returning subscribers, hi, I hope you missed me because I missed you, and I'm back for some more regular content and I'm really excited. I've got some great videos coming up. Subscribe if you want to see that, if you're a new viewer, and I will see you guys later.